It's the Wild Paw Dog Podcast with Karen Wild. Hello everyone, it's John Buskell here, and we've got a special interview with Marc the vet, who, if you're in the UK, you probably know. Karen talks to Marc. And the bandwidth for the Wild Paw Dog Podcast this week was sponsored by our friends at Dougal's Den, dougalsden.co.uk. Amazing finds for the furry kind. Yep, this is the podcast that gives you help and advice on how to train your dog. And it doesn't matter if you're an experienced dog owner, if you've just got your first pupster, and you're even thinking about buying a dog. There's something we can all do to make the life we share with our dogs better. This week, like I said in the intro there, Karen talks to Marc the vet, as he's known in the UK. He's got a blog, he's on TV, he's everywhere, helping dog owners, helping all those folks with pets in the UK, giving lots of advice. And Karen took time to talk to Marc, which was fabulous. So we've got a special edition of the show with Karen interviewing Marc. Hope you enjoy it.
So I'm delighted to be recording the podcast along with our guest co-presenter this week, Marc the vet. Hello, Marc.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. Now we're going to talk over some dog news, some interesting projects that I know you have in the pipeline, some ways that we can all help dogs this Christmas, and also everybody's favourite topic, anal glands. So Marc, what have you been up to?
Oh, the usual craziness. Writing a lot, betting a lot, all sorts of projects really. They're all coming into fruition, and they're all really to sort of help dogs and help their owners, as well as sort of the hands-on vet stuff as well. So really varied, yeah.
Yeah, very busy, I can imagine. I mean, do you find that you get busier towards Christmas, or is that just something that, you know, is veterinary work all year round for you, really?
It's all year round, but obviously there are things that need to be highlighted nearer Christmas, such as the dangers of Christmas to all pets, not just dogs, and also the need for, you know, charity, and maybe make some New Year's resolutions to help animals too.
Oh yeah, that's a nice idea. Actually, yeah, we should do that. Now, I don't know if you saw, talking of things in the sort of current climate, did you see the YouTube sensation? Well, he started off being called Benton, and then he ended up that his name was Fenton, the Labrador Cross. Just for those of you that don't know, this is a YouTube video. It's had over 2 million views now. I checked this morning, and just suffice to say, a dog, some deer, in I think it's Richmond Park, and an owner, and a lot of yelling, and the occasional blasphemy. And basically, this dog is chasing these deer all over the park, and this has just stemmed this huge viral effect all over YouTube. A ringtone and some spoofs, but there is a serious message behind this, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it was phenomenal how I think it was like 43 seconds of amateur footage can actually just spread around the world. I mean, that's the power of the internet just there. The fact that it had a dog in it does make it relevant to us sort of dog lovers. Yes, it's funny. Yes, there are the whole thing is very amusing, but obviously, as we know, and most people kind of know, there's a serious connotation to it, which is you need to know how to do recall on your dog. I think in a different situation, if those deer had run across a busy road rather than one where traffic was actually told to drive slowly because it's a royal park, it could have actually done some real damage, not just to people in their cars, but to the animals themselves. So, yeah, recall, I mean, as you know, as a dog behaviourist, is unbelievably important, and pretty much for that reason, because if your dog goes off the lead and doesn't come back, it can end up anywhere. The dog could end up run over. The deer could end up run over. There could be a road accident. Yeah, it's quite frightening actually.
It is.
I mean, dog, what could have happened?
I know. My other half actually, he had a deer jump out onto the bonnet of his car once, and that's around here. You know, there are fallow deer around here. There's also muntjac deer. I think it's fallow deer in the clip. And it jumped onto the bonnet of his car as he was driving along, and it just, well, it killed the deer instantly. It completely wrote off the car. you know, I mean, the roads around here, people do drive fast, but as it was, he was actually travelling uphill at the time, so he wasn't really going that fast. So the impact could have been awful. And do you know something, that I had this conversation with someone on Twitter, where they were kind of saying, oh, you know, that's ridiculous, and the man should have known better. And I can sort of subscribe to that view, but honestly, Mark, I don't know if you think the same, but I do see an awful lot of people that's the first time their dog has ever done something like that. And I'm not letting him off, but it's one of those things that will suddenly catch you out. And, you know, it really is a case of, you know, we are all potentially likely to have a situation like that where the dog disappears out of control. And like I say, I'm not trying to let him off, but he's a human being like we all are, and we all make mistakes. And I feel really sorry for him. I mean, I do feel sorry for the deer and the people, and if there'd have been an accident and all of that. But, you know, you could hear the panic in his voice, couldn't you?
Absolutely, and I think it's going to happen at some point or another. I'd be very surprised if it didn't. Also, you've got dog walkers, you know, who maybe walk someone else's dog, who may not be good at recall for that particular dog. And I think also dog walkers need to remember that, you know, dogs let loose near farmland, perhaps with pregnant sheep around, are liable to get shot at, which is another danger, obviously, for the dog and for people and for the sheep, because if they abort in their pregnancy, then that's the farmer's livelihood over. So you can understand all camps. I think, if anything, if we're going to learn something from this, it is to recall, it is to learn about sort of dog behaviour and the sort of risks and the problems that could have happened, and let's thank God that they didn't, and we can hopefully take something away from it positively.
Yeah, I mean, they asked when they interviewed the assistant manager at Richmond Park itself, a chap called Adam Curtis. He said, you know, and quite rightly, it's the legal responsibility of owners to keep their dogs under control at all times, and to do so, they must know the temperament of their pet. So if you know that your dog might chase not just deer, but might chase squirrels, might chase rabbits, anything like that, it's highly likely that same instinct is going to work on other creatures as well. You know, even if you're just in the street and there are cats around. I mean, I'm always horrified when I see owners with their dogs off lead near a road, because there is such a risk, even if you completely trust your dog, that something unusual could happen. And that is the whole thing about real life, isn't it? That real life can be unpredictable. Absolutely.
And if you've got another dog off the lead on the other side of the road, and that decides to chase your dog that's off the lead, then your dog isn't going to hang around.
No.
So, and especially when you've got unspayed and unneutered dogs, when you've got heats and dogs wanting to mount other dogs and literally run across busy roads just to do that because the scent's too strong. So there's lots of things to learn from it. But, you know, thankfully, nothing did happen. But, you know, hopefully we can turn it into a positive.
Yeah, and I say it's a positive for someone, because the people that actually took the video, I think it was a young lad who took the video and his dad posted it on YouTube. I know for a fact that they've earned an awful lot of money from posting that clip.
Good for them.
Yeah. So something good out of it in a way.
So they give a bit to dog charity.
Yeah, well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, if you're listening, where are they? Where's their name? Ali and Jake Goodyear, who recorded the video. Feel free to donate. And also, you know, I suppose I should plug my own site here, but I don't want to do that off the back of this. But I think, you know, if you have a problem with recall and if you are slightly nervous, make sure you deal with the problem. Don't leave it. You don't need to use harsh methods, and you don't need to use shock collars and all those stupid things. You can get a decent trainer to show you how to get your dog to come back reliably, and how to insure your dog in terms of extra equipment to make sure that your dog comes back all the time. Things like a long line work brilliantly, and they're a great training aid, so it can be done.
Yeah, and when I filmed My Pet Shame for Sky, we did a feature on JD, who was a Jack Russell cross who was obsessed by eating owner's pants and also eating poo, his poo and other dogs' poo. and we did recall because this poor girl was at her wit's end. And we used a long line and we used treats, and he was driven by treats, which was obviously makes life a lot easier. I'd never sort of trained a dog before, but I was amazed at how quick and how much fun it was and how successful it was. And we had a couple of sessions and the recall was very good. So there's no real excuse. And obviously if you can't do it yourself, contact someone like yourself to get it done professionally.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I'd just add to that. I think it's quite important to realise that, you know, if you've got a dog that's motivated by food, that's quite good. If you've got a dog that's chasing and it's motivated by movement, then you can also move yourself, or you can move toys. But quite often I get people that will say that food or toys doesn't work with their dog. Don't worry about that, because I'm used to it, and you can still train them no matter what. You can still do it. You just don't stand there and wait for them to do it. You know, you train them to do it regularly, time and time again, until it becomes such such a habit that they do it anyway. And believe me, it does work. So yeah, so you've seen evidence of that. And My Pet Shame's still on. You can get it online, can't you, if people want to watch it?
It's online, and it's also repeated quite a lot on Sky. So yeah, there is. People are still enjoying it, I hope.
I'm still enjoying it, apart from me, who doesn't got Sky, but I can watch it online, so that's all right.
There you go.
So, that's a hell of a run up to Christmas for that poor chap. But thinking of Christmas and Christmas shopping and that sort of thing, I wanted to do a bit of investigating about what was on offer for people's dogs. So I talked to Lynn at Dougal's Den, who sponsor our website, and I wanted to know. What her favourite Christmas shopping things were. So she told me her top 3 sellers, and they're very, very interesting. So let's just listen to Lynn. No, it's not to drive you mad. I'm here on Dougal's Den stand for our Christmas shopping special with Lynn. Lynn is going to tell us her 3 top favourite Christmas presents for your dogs this year, and I'm really excited to see some of the goodies. So Lynn, come on then, what is your absolute love of this year?
The top favourite for this year is the gingerbread house, and the gingerbread house dog toy comes with 3 toys inside it, and the whole idea with these toys is you actually stuff the toys inside the gingerbread house, and your dog has to go inside and try and find the toys. And if your dog's really not fussed on going inside, throw a few treats inside and they'll be sure to stick their nose in there. Inside it's got a gingerbread man, a gingerbread bone and a gingerbread ball, so that's our complete top seller. Next up we have gingerbread theme again, the gingerbread ball buddy. This is a really nice toy. It's got a good squeaker on it. Quite a tough toy. He looks really, really cute. He'd look really nice underneath the Christmas tree.
In fact, you could probably hang him on the tree because he's got a little hook there, hasn't he? And I must say, I've noticed a bit of a gingerbread theme going on with, I think it's Gisela Graham Christmas decorations, and I really like the little gingerbread things. The house is just beautiful. And we've got an edible thing as well, haven't we? Tell me about that, because obviously people can't see it. I'll try and put a photo up so everyone can see it, because it is quite big, isn't it?
Yeah, what we have here is it's a hide Christmas tree. So a hide chew Christmas tree, shaped like a Christmas tree, and it's got a different bone for every day of the year. So you can every day of December. So you can count down. You can count down to Christmas with your pooch. So you take a little bone off every day, and then come Christmas Day, he can have the whole tree. Well, maybe not the whole tree in one go, but you can chop it up, and your dog can have a lovely advent calendar.
And where can they, dougalsden.co.uk, is that right?
Yeah, dougalsden.co.uk. That's where you can get all your Christmas treats, but make sure you order them quickly because they won't last forever.
Thanks, Lynn. So what do you think about that, Mark? They're good, aren't they?
They're excellent, and I'm a big fan of Dougal's Den because they sponsored my seminars at Discover Dogs last month.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, yeah, I mean, Lynn's brilliant. She's really approachable. And do you know something I like about it? I mean, obviously they sponsor this podcast, and so I would say this, but in truth, if you aren't sure what to get and you just go and ask her, she'll just come up with like a handful of different things of all different price ranges and just sort of say, well, what about this? What about that? So she really does know the market. And I like the way that she finds different things. You know, she just looks for the real quirky things. And my cat, she made these fortune cookie catnip things, and my cat absolutely adores those, so I do recommend those for anyone. So I mean, you know, you're a vet obviously, and you see all sorts of things inside dogs that they shouldn't have had and stuff like that. If people are going to buy goodies for their dog for Christmas, what do you think they should be getting?
It's an excellent question, and there's so much on the market. I mean, for example, Dougal's Den, their website, there's a lot of sort of their toys, but they're sort of inquisitive toys to make dogs sort of use their brains and stimulate them intellectually, which a lot of breeds, as you know, need to do. So I think some good toys that dogs need to sort of find something, and also just the basics really. Just keep their health up to date. You know, the number of dogs that are around with sort of hilarious, in inverted commas, hoodies around with funny messages on that aren't vaccinated and aren't wormed and aren't treated for fleas and aren't microchipped is phenomenal. So, you know, I'd go back to basics and just say, for Christmas, I know it's boring, and you can't really wrap them up, but just make sure your dog's fully vaccinated, wormed, defleed and microchipped, because then it's got a much better chance of making it to the next Christmas. So pretty boring and pretty medical answer, but I think it's important.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much like an MOT, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you are buying your dog presents or thinking about a gift, I think it's always good to think about rescues at this time of year as well, because a lot of dogs, it's not their fault, and all of a sudden on Christmas Day they are in rescue and they're sort of behind bars and wondering why they're not sitting by the fire with a nice loving family opening presents with them like the year before. Often it's not their fault. I'd say 99% isn't their fault, probably 100 even. But the fact is that, you know, they're really, they can sense that the humans are doing fun things around them and opening presents, and their year isn't the same as it was the last year. So I'd suggest really, you know, maybe take time to go dog walking at your local rescue, or just donate blankets, newspaper, food, treats, toys, even money. And just be aware that there's rescue dogs out there that maybe couldn't be taken into temporary accommodation, or the owners have died or something, and they're intelligent, you know, animals, and they're kind of wondering what's going on.
Yeah, I think you know, I mean, something that the advent calendar that we're doing, which is on, well, I'll put it on the blog for this site as well, but it's www.advent.intellidogs.com. We do a different doggy event every single day of December, and there's always prizes to win. So you go into the advent calendar, you click on the window on your internet browser, and it takes you into a blog written by somebody, you know, a very nice celebrity or a rescue centre or something like that. And we've got at least 3 rehoming appeals on that website this Christmas, and we try and get videos from the rescue home as well. And sometimes they put up dogs that have been in kennels for a very long time. I mean, a couple of years ago we had an appeal for a dog that had been in kennels for 6 years in rescue, for various reasons, and again, no fault of his own. And you know, so if you wanted to visit and support that kind of thing, even if you're on Twitter or you're on Facebook, you don't have space for that dog yourself, pass the message along by just sharing it on your page. I know there's a lot of appeals for dogs, but I think sometimes there's a really special reason why that dog's not in a home, and let's see, you know, if we can do something for them, then that would be a really nice thing to do. Do you know what I would recommend that people get for Christmas for their dog? This is the bane of my existence, right? And I get a bit obsessed with it, so I apologise in advance for being OCD. I would like everyone to have a decent bridle leather lead for their dog. Now how geeky is that?
Well, right? It's the same. It's because we care about the welfare of dogs. It's as simple as that.
And also, you know, bridle leather is the sort of thing. I don't sell them or anything. You know, they get better with age. My bridle leather lead now is 15 years old, and it is the most comfortable lead I have ever had. It's lasted and lasted and lasted. It can get soaking wet and it dries softer. It's the most comfortable thing. I can use it to steer my dog around if I need to, in between letting them off. And I don't need a flex lead. I don't need all those things. I've got a really nice comfortable lead, and it clips around my body so I don't lose it. So they're quite pricey. If you can find one that's really good, I got mine made by a saddler friend of mine. I can give you her details, anyone, if you want them, but I would say get yourself a really good lead, not a hurty nylon lead that burns your hands, and not a nasty chain lead either, because they hurt your hands like crazy. And the other thing I'd say to people is get a decent treat pouch or backpack to take your dog stuff with you, so when you're on a walk you don't like lose stuff, and put your long line in it as well. And also a decent pair of walking trousers, which I get mine from Rock the Boat, and they are brilliant. So those make my life really easy. But I think the lead would be the thing I'd say to people.
Good. Well, there you go. So we've got them healthy and we've got them trainable.
Train the geek, yeah, that's right. And they're sorted out now. And we're not saying about bits of food, are we? None of us are saying that. I mean, I know Lynn's advent calendar was a hide one, but that's a bit of fun, a little bit every day. It's all right.
And I think it's important to point out that Christmas, the dangers that are there, which is the food dangers, which of course is chocolate, which is the number one, which is really, really poisonous to dogs. Still, we see it. I mean, we don't really see it anymore that people have fed chocolate to their dogs. It's usually they've come home and the dog's found the chocolate and destroyed 3 boxes of Thorntons or whatever other chocolates are available. And usually you have to get pump the stomach out, and that's usually if you catch it early enough within the first couple of hours of the dog eating. But also things like onions and anything that uses onions to cook. Obviously the raisins and the grapes, which a lot of people still don't know about, can cause kidney damage. And then the Christmas flowers, you've got poinsettia, obviously the mistletoe, holly, they've all got poisons in them. Lilies, lily pollen, poisons for cats. And also, especially with puppies and kittens and rabbits, obviously the electric wires for lights on the Christmas tree, and also tinsel is very, very dangerous to puppies and kittens. And the reason that is, if they start eating it or playing with it and it goes down into their guts, it can cause a condition called intussusception, which is when the small intestine sort of tries to gather onto itself, and it's a surgical emergency and easily prevented. So
yeah, and
really,
don't try and pull it out, because that makes it a lot worse, doesn't it?
absolutely right. So if your cat or kitten or dog or puppy has eaten tinsel or string or streamers or anything long, then really do take it to the vet immediately, because it can be life-threatening.
It's absolutely awful, isn't it? And there is something I spotted on your blog, and I saw you tweet it out on Twitter as well, is another way that we can help others for Christmas with Crisis, which is an appeal for homeless people, isn't it?
Absolutely, they're a fantastic charity. They're based in London, and every year they have this sort of pop-up village that they make for thousands and thousands of homeless people who come with their dogs or just on their own, and they invite lots of sort of professionals and people with skills and that's from actors to opera singers to obviously vets and behaviourists can come in and actually sort of empower people at a time of year when they're probably feeling quite hopeless and depressed for whatever reason. And I'm glad to be a part of it this year, helping with the dog side of things, which is on the 27th of December. But yeah, anyone can come along, they can volunteer, they're going to set up some kennels, and basically, again, giving back to people, to animals that just haven't got anything, and more importantly, haven't got anything to look forward to. So the point of the whole Crisis charity is to give people hope. It's to make them feel special, so they start next year, with a few ideas in their heads and clean and they've had their hair done, etc. And just giving back to people and animals who haven't got what we have.
Yeah, and checking that the dogs are healthy, and presumably just making sure that the people feel a bit more supported in what they're doing. I mean, we in Peterborough, where I sort of live near, there's a chap who's always on the street, and he sells the Big Issue, and he's got his dog with him, and the dog just sits there, wears a woolly hat, doesn't mind the hat, it seems perfectly happy with it. It's not trying to get it off, and it sits there all day, no worries about stay, no nothing. That dog just sits there and it is happy as anything. You can see behaviourally, I can see the dog is really relaxed. So I think that's quite a good thing. And if you're feeling a little bit like, oh, Christmas has lost its meaning, no, it hasn't. You can go and do something like that. Or if you didn't, that's based in London, I know, but you can go anywhere. If you've got anyone who's elderly, me and John have said this on the podcast a lot, anyone who's elderly in your community, and that you haven't seen them out for a while because you haven't seen them out with the dog or whatever, you're not prying if you just pop round and offer to take the dog out for them, or offer to let their dog play with your dog or something like that. It's just a nice thing to do. So no, I think let's think about that. Now, I know that you've got loads of projects on, haven't you?
Yes.
Pup Aid, I know we had a brilliant time at this year. What's happening next year? Can you tell us about Pup Aid for next year, or is it all big secret?
It's a big secret at the moment, but I tell you, it's going to be a lot bigger and a lot better, and raise even more awareness with more celebrities and more coverage. It's boiling along nicely, and I'm thrilled with how people have accepted it. It's nearly got 1,000 followers on Twitter now, and it's really grasping people's attention. And for me, I campaign a lot, as some of your listeners may know about, with puppy farming, from all different levels. I campaign in the consulting room, one-on-one, talking to owners. I campaign in Parliament. Again, I'm in Parliament next week, campaigning and lobbying MPs. And also I campaign using my media profile to engage with fellow people in the media, celebrities who are dog lovers, who don't know what's going on, like most of the people in this country, with respect to puppy farming and how severe it is. So it's a case of just using what I've got, my basic skills, to engage in as many different people as possible, from owners to politicians, to celebrities, to therefore to the public, who I think are now responsible for ending it, because we've proved time and time again, any amount of legislation, even if you banned it tomorrow, it wouldn't work, because there's always this demand, and the places it happens in are unpoliceable. So for me, the responsibility is completely shifted from the government, from the Welsh Assembly, from even a Carmarthenshire County Council, who keep giving out these licences willy-nilly, to the public now. And if the public stop the demand and they stop buying, then it will end.
Yeah, stop
so
buying
my
from puppy farms completely.
To stop buying the pups that are born on puppy farms. So, don't buy from the Friday ads, don't buy from pet shops, don't buy from Harrods pet department. You buy from a breeder who you see the mother interacting with the puppy. That's all it is. Or you go to a rescue. And as soon as the public knows those are the only options to buy a dog, or to get a dog, or to choose a dog, however you want to label it, then it will end, because you won't have people turning up at these places, these huge pet superstores with all these breeds, Maltipoos, Cockapoos, and obviously pedigree dogs as well, with no mother because she's hundreds of miles away in a barn. And it's awareness, it's education, and it can end. I mean, people have got, oh, you'll never end it. It's not even up to me to end it. It's up to me to try and do my best to educate the British public so the public ends it. And what a triumph that would be for the British public to actually end puppy farming, because they have the power to do it.
And I think it's a case of, that it's purchaser's power, isn't it? I mean, if we're looking for a dog and we realise how long that dog's going to be with us, you wouldn't buy a beaten up old car from a sort of car yard or somewhere where you know that it doesn't look particularly great. You'd want to know a service history, and you'd want to have some kind of guaranteed comeback if there was something wrong. And,
but Karen, as we both know, and we're both dog lovers, this is preaching to the converted.
Yeah.
We need to hit the population. We need to hit is the tabloid demographic. Is the people who watch Only Way is Essex, the people who watch Made in Chelsea, people who read Hello, OK, The Sun, The Mirror. Those are the people we need to hit, and that is what I am sort of working on. I'm actually meeting with some of the cast of Towie, Only Way is Essex next week, because I believe that they are hugely important in the fight against puppy farming. I mean, Amy Charles has got I think she's got a Chihuahua or a pug.
Well, she was at the Dogs Honours, the Dogs Trust.
Yes, absolutely.
Dogs Trust Honours, wasn't she? Yeah, because I met her.
Indeed. But, they are, celebrities have huge power to change things, and a lot of them use it wisely. But a lot of these guys are dog lovers, have dogs, and I'm sure just don't know what's going on. So it's all part of my sort of master plan, if you like, to educate the public. But you've got to find and connect with the top of those pyramids, for example, before they can sort of cast the net. It all sounds very cliche, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
No, I think you're right. I mean, that's the media for you, isn't it? And I think particularly nowadays, the emphasis. I mean, I was really pleased to see. I saw something that Simon Cowell had said about dogs and how he loves dogs, and someone was handing him a puppy, and he said, "This is a really cute puppy," and he said, "See, I'm a nice person." And they offered him a baby, and he went, "Oh no, I don't want to hold the baby. Babies cry." It really made me laugh. But he's a real dog lover.
Absolutely, and hopefully he'll be joining us next year as well for Pup Aid.
It would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So let's go right back to our own dogs now. And I was very pleased to see your app come out, Canine Care with Marc the Vet, which came out sort of a while ago now, wasn't it? And one of the big sellers on this app. And I have to be honest here, I hope you're not eating your tea. If you are, you might want to just sort of turn the volume down. Is how to sort out your dog's anal glands. And I know that on the app there's a video about it. And when I mentioned that on Twitter, immediately someone said, right, I'm buying it. I think it's only $1.99 or $2.99 at the moment, the app anyway. But I noticed as well you'd put that on your blog recently on how to deal with it. So it's obviously something that affects a lot of dogs that they need this dealing with, don't they?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, the price, it is $2.99, but tying it in with Christmas, what we're doing is we're offering it at $1.99 and giving the extra £1 to the Oldies Club, which I'm the patron.
Very nice.
So again, it's a way of giving back to dog charities, and what better one than the Oldies Club? It's obviously I'm patron, so I'm a bit biased, but older unwanted dogs at Christmas, you can't get more heartfelt than that, really. And these are dogs in foster homes. There's no actual rescue centre, so they could be at the MECU, they could be at Dogs Trust, they could be just in people's homes. So these are it's a fantastic charity called the Oldies Club, and I recommend everyone looks it up.
Do you know something I always think about oldies is they're tried and trusted is what I like about older dogs. I think they're there, they're there, they've got, it's obvious what their personality is like, what you're getting to some extent, and they've been well looked after, and they're very thorough, aren't they? Oldies Club are incredibly thorough on what they tell you, on how they put it across. Yeah, I like them a lot. Incredible.
If you look through that website, it's so moving, because some of the dogs are given up at like 13 years old.
Yeah.
And you think, who could do that? And maybe the owner's died, or maybe there's a legitimate reason. But then you've all of a sudden got this homeless dog at 13 or even 14. You just think, wow, these guys really need help. So that's my chosen charity of Christmas for my app. The app itself is really designed for dog lovers. It's got lots of videos. It's got the how to empty your dog's anal glands. I'm not trying to replace people going to the vet. Every video comes with a statement that says ask your vet to check, to do this with you first. But yeah, we're seeing a lot more anal glands being full in practice at the moment. It manifests itself in many different ways. The classic dog scooting its bottom along the floor, which is the one that people will come in and go, I think my dog needs its anal glands empty. Or you have dogs that are just itchy. And an itchy dog, obviously other things cause itchiness, like fleas and allergies, but sometimes dogs will be biting their paws or biting their tail, or just generally uncomfortable, and it can be the actual anal glands, because they're so impacted and full that the dog cannot actually empty them itself, so it gets so frustrated and takes its frustration out somewhere else, which can be anywhere really. So always worth getting them checked. It's very easy. The other thing with the app, it's a lot about preventative healthcare. It's about spotting emergencies. You can tell. There's a whole video about how to tell if your dog's got bloat or gastric torsion, how to brush your dog's teeth, how to check your dog's ears, about lumps and taking your dog's temperature. I think it's about an hour of footage, about 20 odd videos.
It's a big thing then. I've only seen bits of it
and
myself.
It doesn't depend on if you're online or not as well. It's all embedded in the app, so you can be on an airplane, or underground, and you can still watch all this stuff. It's also got products you can buy that we've used on the videos to actually make it even easier. And it's also got links to dog-friendly pubs. That's GPS. So if you are on a country walk and you want to find the nearest dog-friendly pub, you can just press one button.
I like that idea a lot.
The nearest vet as well, if you are, again, travelling around the country, or you want to put your own vet's details. And you can also put in details of your flea stuff and worming stuff and order it through the app, and then get reminders and just press one touch, and it comes free delivery to your door, and food and toys.
Not so much an app as a system, really, is it? I mean, wow, that's just
great, actually.
That's pretty good value when you think what the freebie ones are. Yeah, that's excellent. Well, yeah, I must say I do trawl the App Store from time to time, and I'm a bit techie sort of in my little world, but no, I mean, the other things, and I shouldn't really do this, but I do quite often listen to things as I'm walking along with my dogs, and I have one ear of the headphones in, and I suppose the app would be quite good for that as well. If you wanted to learn about something and perhaps you didn't watch the video because you're walking, you could probably just listen to it, couldn't you?
There's loads of stuff on there to learn. It's, my mission is educational, making dog facts and things to do with being a vet more transparent, so people can learn and actually act quicker and make pet ownership a lot more affordable. I encourage people to download it, because I think it's fun, it's useful, it's educational, and you will spot things a lot quicker if you watch those videos in your dog, and actually find things a lot more relevant, rather than a lot of people sit around and, shall I call the vet, shall I not call the vet? And a lot of stuff on the app is very very simple and explanatory, and will definitely help you decide how important things are.
Yeah, no, that's true, and I think it's all something that everyone wants to know more about their dog, and certainly it's not just down to behaviour and training. It's veterinary issues as well. I mean, the other one you mentioned is dental care, and that's something that can really bring on big bills later on in their lives.
And so easy to prevent. I mean, in terms of finger brushes or just toothbrushes, doggy toothpaste, if you start obviously, as you well know, if you start from a young age, it becomes normal. It's a bonding experience if the toothpaste is sort of poultry flavoured, because it's a treat. And you're not only brushing your dog's teeth maybe once a week or once a fortnight, but that is actually making you open your dog's mouth and check its mouth.
Yeah.
You spot things so much quicker. It's like grooming. Grooming's great for the coat and it's a great bonding experience, but you're also going to spot lumps and ticks and cuts and grazes as well. So it's the same argument with dog boosters. People go, I don't need to go to my vet, every year. It's like, as well as keeping their immunity up to date, because parvo and lepto especially are all over the place and will kill your dog. We are getting the chance to check your dog over and find things and prevent things happening and getting worse. So for me, it's all about transparency. It's about making things affordable and catching things before they become a bigger problem, and really getting people confident in acting quickly, rather than thinking, oh my god, it's going to cost so much money, so I'll just let it go on a bit longer.
Well, rather like Benton or Fenton's owner at the start, probably a bit of a recall problem, and then, oh my god, my dog's run off after some deer, leaving it till it's too late. But I think, I don't think people I don't think any of us are sort of stupid. I think you have a busy life. And it's like anything, you have to put it in your diary. And that's the one thing I really like about my vet. They're a terrific vet. And they always send a reminder every year. You know, I get a little postcard. I don't have to remember in my diary to vaccinate my dogs. It comes in and the cat, you know, it comes in the post and it just says, would you like to come in? And that's great. And I think that's part of the whole service that you get. And I don't begrudge it at all. I think it's great.
Absolutely.
I mean, and my vet was superb the other week. I always check my dog's teeth, and I noticed one of them had become wobbly, and she'd retained a puppy tooth. So I thought, oh, you know, that's going to be a major bill. But because, and I'm not trying to boast, and I might have said this on a previous podcast, but because I've spent so much time looking at their teeth, that when it actually came to it, I stood there with the dog and I showed the vet the tooth, and she went, okay. And she went out, got a pair of little, you know, there's a proper word, but they look like a pair of pliers, Mark. So what are they called? That you pull the teeth out?
No, we can stick with pliers. Pliers is good. But pliers is
okay. So, and she just said, you know, it's so wobbly, I can just fetch it out. If I don't really want to use an anaesthetic if I can help it. So it was Bonnie just stood there and just fetched the tooth out. Then I'd looked at Pickle's teeth, and I found that one of his teeth had grown the other teeth had grown too close together, and that one had gone wobbly as well. Well, I knew that tooth was not quite right, but the vet said leave it until it becomes a problem. Looked at it, wobbly, same thing. Hold his mouth, hold him, just pull it out. No scream, no crying, no, you know, a bit of struggling at first because they didn't really like being restrained as much as they were, because they're not used to being held quite so carefully. So I think I need to practice that. But it just saved me a lot of money. So, you know. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to ask you about, because I know you've had your book out this year, and I know that on the Advent calendar you very, very kindly donated a signed copy of Vet on Call for us to give away. So I'm not sure what day that's going to be on yet, but look out for that. Now, you've also got another book coming out, haven't you?
Yeah, you know me, I don't like sitting around doing nothing.
Well, I know this sounds like the Mark the Vet show plug, but to be honest, I didn't know about this book until I was just talking to you just before the interview, and I'm like, another one.
Well, it's kind of a re-edited Vet on Call for kids, because again, education and catching things early. But I think I do so many school visits, and I'm fascinated to see how passionate people are, or pupils are, about pets, and also how many kids these days don't have pets because their parents are allergic or haven't got the lifestyle. It's very different to when we were growing up, when everyone seemed to have a pet. So what I did was I rewrote it, re-edited it for 7+. It is the perfect book for kids who want to be vets, and there's a lot of them around. But it's called Pets in Need. And that, like Vet on Call and my app, they're all available through my website, which is markthevet.com. It comes out on the 2nd of February. It's got loads of pictures in it of some of my favourite cases over the years. And basically, it's kind of a stealth education where kids or parents can read to their kids, and it's all fun stories, but underlying serious messages about looking after pets. So, and it's all different pets, not just dogs, cats, gerbils, whatever. So it's a shame it's not out before Christmas, but apparently it's not good to bring a book out just before Christmas because there's so many different things out.
Oh, I suppose you get everyone's autobiography out and that. You know. That'll be yours next year. My Life So Far by Mark the Vet.
There you go. So I've done. So it's coming out in February. It's available to pre-order from Amazon through my website, and I hope your kids enjoy it. I'm sure they will. It was great fun to rewrite, actually.
Well, you know, it's the sort of thing that I don't want to align you with James Herriot, but I read a lot of the James Herriot books a long, long time ago. And when you said interception, that's a word I learnt from there. Okay. And erysipelas was another one that's never gone out of my head.
Lovely.
I know. Just like, okay, strange. But there you go. I was young enough, and
Well, you're young, you loved animals, and you're passionate, and you do remember these things because no one else is talking about them.
Well, I love that phrase, stealth education. That's brilliant. Yeah. Stealth education, that's what it's all about.
Well, the app's like that, the books are like that, even Pup Aid is like that. It's making important issues and serious matters of animal welfare fun or cool or different enough for people to take note and go, oh, okay.
Well, and engage. We're all human beings, aren't we? And it's just like, I think there's a way of getting things across to someone like me, and if somebody wags their finger and points and does a lot of telling, then I kind of I'm not rebellious like that, but I tend to sort of think, but if it's just someone who's being very normal and natural, and sort of, I quite often say to my clients, well, I'm a dog owner as well, I'm a mum, I know how busy you are, and that kind of thing, and I think that's just real life, isn't it? You've got to be realistic with people, because otherwise they won't take it on board. And we're talking about people as if they're other people, but it's all of us, isn't it, really?
Absolutely, and that's why I've always worn the scrubs and kept have a tattoo and shaved my head, because I don't want to be the check shirt cords white coat vet that sort of patronises people and tells them what to do. I want to be the vet that can just sort of draw pictures and engage with them and sort of just explain stuff simply, so they don't feel intimidated, and that they carry away what I can teach them, and hopefully their dogs are better for it.
Yeah, or they come to me with, hairy hobbit clothing.
There you go.
Smelling faintly of dog, I'm sure. But anyway, well, look, Marc, thanks ever so much for coming on the podcast, and it's been really good fun talking to you and sort of chewing the fat, as they say.
Absolutely, great fun. Thank you for inviting me, Karen.
I will see you. Oh gosh, when am I going to see you next? Might be Crufts, might be before then, I suppose. Are you doing much at Crufts next year?
I think I'll be doing book signings, and fingers crossed I'll be presenting again the veterinary slots and the TV bits. But and then any information people want about anything I'm doing, come to my website, which is markthevet.com, marcthevet.com, and it's got my Facebook link on there and my Twitter link, and app and book links as well, and loads of articles that I write, and just to basically help other people look after their dogs better, as you know. Yeah,
and I know that you're very friendly on Twitter as well, and that's twitter.com/markthevet, or @markthevet if you're already on Twitter. And I am @wildpaw if you're interested, if you don't know already. So we quite often have a bit of a chat on there. Right then, I think it's time for us to go off and do our Christmas shopping, and I'll see you on the Advent calendar, Marc.
All right, darling. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
No problem.
So how's about that then? Thank you, Karen. I'm jealous. even though I'm in Sweden, I like to read Marc's blog and follow him on Twitter. You can find Marc on Twitter. I think the best way to do that is to just Google Marc the Vet on Twitter, and you'll find his account there. So that's about it for this week's show. If you've got any comments about the show, questions, do get in touch. Karen likes it if you connect with her on Twitter. You'll find her at twitter.com/wildpaw, or you can email the show, and that's podcast@intellidogs.com. INTELLIDOGS.com. And we'd love it if you gave us a tweet out on Twitter, or if you wrote us a review on iTunes. And if you're looking for more in-depth training advice, you can go along to Karen's website at intellidogs.com and build your own training manual. To inquire about web design or online marketing services, including podcasts, you can contact me at jontusmedia.com/contact. Or get in touch with me on Twitter, and that's twitter.com/JohnBuskell, JONBUSCALL. So until next time, remember, be super nice to your woofs. Aggie, you've stolen my socks again.